been painting since I was a child, really. Ever since I was 5, I knew that I wanted to be an artist as an adult, and I never wavered on that decision. One of my first memories as a child was when I was about 5 years old, and I distinctly remember my mother showing me how to draw the human body. And we were knelt down in my grandmother's living room at the end table, and I just knew right then that that's what I wanted to do forever. So in that respect, I'm very fortunate. I feel my whole life I've been very fortunate to know that was my passion. I received my BFA in 1999 from UW-Milwaukee in Wisconsin. So I did go to school, but to be quite honest, I probably learned more outside of those school walls than I did inside. For me, I always err on the side of passion when it comes to my art, simply because I've felt it my entire life, and I know that my work isn't very technical, but I need to produce it. I need to do what my heart wants to do. Painting in a surrealist fashion isn't something that I feel I chose. I feel that it just happened. I think realistic portraits and art is beautiful, highly technical, and that's great, but it just isn't something I could ever do. And so painting in a surrealist fashion is just something that's more comfortable to me. To be honest, I was quite a rebel in college, and my professors had a bit of trouble with me simply because I didn't want to follow their guidance. So I was just...
Can you give me an example of that?
I was known in college for oil painting with my fingers, using my fingers to paint with oils, which is rather dangerous and not a very good idea at all. And I specifically remember my professor telling me not to.
Why is it dangerous?
Because oil paint is very toxic.
Oh well.
Oil paint is toxic, and it's not a good idea to touch it.
Why did you just want to do that?
I painted with my fingers because I like the feel, I like the control. I felt that by taking the paintbrush, or whatever tool I was using, out of the equation of painting, I was getting closer to my final image, or to the painting as it was happening. So it's just myself and the oil paint on the canvas. So that's what I thought about when I was finger painting with the oils. The images I create then and now are always just a part of myself. They're just a different aspect. Sometimes when I work with board or canvas, I already know what the image is going to look like, and sometimes I just have to work it out as it goes on and see what appears. I allow it to appear. For instance, earlier today I was cutting off some cauliflower, and I was looking at the cauliflower and it's gone. I ate the rest of it. So now I have to go to the grocery store and buy some more. And cauliflower is pretty expensive lately, I realized. And I thought, oh, the price of cauliflower is more than I can handle. And I thought that in my head, and instantly I got this image of a human with a cauliflower head, and they have the little pieces all around them. And I said, oh, that's it. So I went over to the board and I quick sketched it out for later on. So eventually I will have a piece, and it will say that exactly.
That will be the title?
Yeah, that will be the title of the piece.
That's awesome. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
And it's funny when that happens. It puts a little bit of humor into it, and I love when I can paint about my daily life and the little things that come up. I would rather work on one piece at a time, just because it keeps my train of thought a little bit more centered. But I do find that there are moments when I do have an abundance of ideas, and I will work between a number of pieces at once. And that's okay. That's how it works. I mean, I don't feel like I have much of a say in this. I feel like the muses just shoot down into my head and make me do these things, make me create this stuff, and I feel like I don't have much control. I think I've always embraced the process of letting the muses guide me, what have you, because I think I do that in my regular life anyway. I think I kind of leave it up to the universe. You know, I throw it out there, hey, I would love to find a great parking spot. Can we make that happen? And you know what, a lot of times it does. It really does. And so with everything, I try to just throw it up there and see where it lands. You know, I mean, that's all any of us can ever do in anything in our lives, whether it's creating a painting or, you know, a relationship with someone, or, you know, even finding a parking space. Just do the best you can and just intend for the best outcome. Back in the day, I would say about 10 years ago, my thing was to apply the paint to the masonite board with paper towel. Back then I was using paper towel and cotton swabs exclusively. And I would just let go of control and move the paint around on the board until a face appeared, until I found something, and then I would bring it forward. Now that my paintings are a little bit more involved and a bit more colorful, and I do use paintbrushes now, I sometimes have an idea. I might sketch it out. I'm not huge on sketching things out because I like to keep things to chance. But I guess I apply the paint and see what happens. A lot of times I play a movie when I paint, or I listen to some talk radio and such, podcasts online, and that gets my train of thought going in a particular direction, and it seems that just inspires something, and I just go from there. My painting inspirations are Lenora Carrington, Remedios Varro, and Lenore Finney. I'm not quite sure if I said her name correctly, but they were all surrealist women around the 1950s and such. And I look at their work and I understand it completely, immediately. And I think, well, if they could do it back in 1950, and when you see their work, it's amazing that they were thinking these things back then. But I think if they can do that then, I can certainly paint what I want to say now. Right now, the theme throughout my work, I think, is to honor animals. Not only am I a pet owner, but I seem to have quite a reverence for wild animals, totem animals as how I see them. The deer, the elephant, the polar bear are some of my totem animals that really mean a lot to me. And so I like to somehow morph the animal with a human figure and create an iconic image. I like to be able to look at a piece of art and hang it up on the wall and let it have this almost religious experience with it. And so in each piece, I think that's what I've been trying to convey recently. In terms of more recent living artists, I would have to say I'm really inspired by Fred Stonehouse and Daniel Martin Diaz. Two men who I think have great vision, and I've enjoyed their work for many, many years. The first show, technically, was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right after college. And that was an interesting experience. That was interesting because it was my first show and I was very nervous, quite shy, didn't know what to say to anybody, and I got sick in the bathroom beforehand. I'll never forget my first show. In a dress. There were a lot of people at the gallery, I remember that, and the gallery owner wanted me to speak to somebody who was really interested in my work, and I choked up and I couldn't say much of anything at all. College didn't teach us that. I certainly hope they teach students that now. But back then, we weren't taught how to do the business side of being an artist. I was never offered a business class. I had no idea how to present myself at a gallery show or to gain the confidence to be able to talk to somebody. And that is something I've had to learn over time. And I've had a lot of showings since then. oftentimes people like to say that my art looks like another artist's, particular artists. I won't name them. And to be honest, it irks me. And at one point it irked me so much I stopped painting for a year. And I said, Lisa, you got to recreate something. You have to touch inside something different, because I couldn't keep going on that same path. So I stopped and thought about it, and I changed course. And then people would say to me, well, that's just how humans think. And they see something, the human mind needs to relate it to something else that it's seen before. And that's why when we look at something, we say, oh, that looks like Picasso, or that looks like Frida Kahlo. My scoliosis isn't something that I've really spoken about until recently. And I think that recently something just said, Lisa, it's time to start painting about your spine. And so that's why I'm doing it now. But I was 12 years old, I believe, when I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And the doctor came to the middle school to check everybody. And I noticed that he was spending an awfully long time with me. And I thought, uh-oh, uh-oh. And a couple weeks later he came back. And he had sent my parents a letter. And he checked me again. And I knew something was going on. And they started fitting me for a scoliosis brace. It went up to my chin. And it went down past my waist. And I wore it for 3 years, 9 months, and 8 days. Not that I was counting or anything. You know, that experience has shaped my entire life.
How so?
And at the time, I knew it would. I knew this was going to happen. I knew that one day I was going to make art about my spine. And to be honest, I have a feeling that my scoliosis is the catalyst for something really big in my life. That I remember my doctor telling me when I was 13 years old, Lisa, you might seriously want to start considering if you really want to have children or not. Because if you ever get pregnant, you're going to be in a body brace for at least 6 months. You'll be in bed. You won't be able to get out. And I was so young. And in that same visit, I believe it was the same visit, he said, if you don't wear this brace, you'll likely be dead by the time you're 21. And when you're a little girl, those words they were amazing. And I think that's why I'm so, I'll say the word obsessed. I'm so obsessed about time and getting things done. I always have a to-do list. I'm also a Virgo, so that might have something to do to it. But I know that we all have clocks, and they're all going to end. And scoliosis might not be what takes me away, but 21. I couldn't imagine. So I wore the brace. And when 21 came and went, I thought, I made it. I passed. I passed. What my doctor had said. But that brace, that was really something. I wore for 23 hours a day. I had it off 1 hour each day so that I could relax or exercise or go outside or shower, to shower even, or go outside and play with my sisters. But then I had to put it right back on. I think we all have a story to tell. And we're all so different. And I finally come to realize that my story is my scoliosis and my scoliosis brace. I had 2 braces actually. But I think that it's a story that you don't hear too often. Not many people have scoliosis and have to wear the brace. But it's just something that I need to paint about. What I like about the brace, the imagery about the brace, is that it's this metal and leather and plastic, and it's enclosed around the human body. And it was built to tuck me in, to keep me contained, to straighten me out. And really, it didn't work. My spine never got better, but the brace did prevent the spine from getting worse. So for that, I'm fortunate.